You're going to fill your tank this week. You're going to spend somewhere between $60 and $90 doing it. And the car sitting in your driveway right now, the one you bought, insured, registered, and maintain entirely at your own expense, is going to burn through that fuel at a rate that was decided for you by an industry that profits from every single gallon you consume. But here's the number they do not want you to hold in your head at the same time as your receipt: 50 cents. That is the complete cost of what I am about to show you. 50 cents and a specific sequence of adjustments that transforms how your engine processes every drop of fuel it touches. Adjustments that, in documented independent testing, produced fuel economy figures that beat a factory. Hybrid, not matched. Beat. On a standard combustion engine, on the car sitting in your driveway right now, Big Oil and the 4 largest auto manufacturers in the world spend a combined lobbying budget exceeding $400 million per year to ensure that what I'm about to tell you remains the kind of thing you only find by accident, late at night, deep inside a form that disappears 6 months after you find it. Stay with me, because what they buried goes back further than you think. In the spring of 1935, a Canadian inventor named Charles Nelson Pogue walked into the Canadian Patent Office in Ottawa and filed documentation for a carburetor design that the automotive establishment has spent the better part of 90 years pretending does not exist. Pogue was not a fringe inventor. He was not a conspiracy theorist working from a garage with no engineering background. He was a methodical, technically rigorous designer who had spent years observing a fundamental inefficiency in how combustion engines consumed fuel. Standard carburetors of his era, and the fuel injection systems that replaced them, delivered fuel to the combustion chamber in liquid droplet form. Pogue understood that liquid droplets do not combust completely. A significant percentage of the fuel energy passes through the combustion cycle, unreacted, and exits through the exhaust system as waste. He designed a vaporization system that converted fuel into a true gaseous state before it ever entered the combustion chamber. The combustion efficiency of vaporized fuel versus liquid atomized fuel is not a theoretical improvement. It is a documented thermodynamic reality. His early prototypes, tested in vehicles driven by witnesses who later gave sworn depositions, were producing mileage figures the automotive press of 1935 described as impossible and then quietly stopped covering. The patents were filed. The documentation was real. And within 18 months of the first credible independent test results, Pogue's prototypes stopped functioning and he stopped giving interviews. The patents changed hands. The technology entered a portfolio managed by interests that had every commercial reason to ensure it was never manufactured at scale. But Pogue was not the end of the story. He was the beginning of a documented pattern that repeated across the following 6 decades with a consistency that stopped looking coincidental sometime around the 4th iteration. In 1977, a California engineer named Tom Ogle demonstrated a vapor fuel system on a standard Ford Galaxy that produced verified fuel economy of 100 miles per gallon in front of journalists and independent witnesses. Shell Oil offered him $200,000 for the design and an ongoing royalty arrangement. He declined. In 1981, Tom Ogle died at the age of 24, under circumstances his family publicly disputed for years afterward. The design was never manufactured. In the late 1980s and through the early 1990s, a community of engineers and amateur performance enthusiasts began documenting the measurable fuel economy gains achievable through a combination of techniques they called economy driving, and later, as the community formalized, hypermilling. Their early documented results were extraordinary enough that a government fuel economy research body took formal notice. In 1991 and 1992, the techniques were the subject of an internal review within the Department of Transportation that produced a report quantifying achievable real-world fuel economy improvements of 30 to 60% over standard driving behavior with zero mechanical modification. That report existed in internal circulation. It was never published. It was never incorporated into any public-facing fuel economy education initiative. By 2005, the online communities developing and refining these techniques were experiencing systematic platform pressure, deleted forum archives, and terms of service challenges that their members documented in real time, and which you can still find referenced in the archived corners of early internet discussion boards if you know exactly where to look. Before I show you precisely what those engineers discovered and exactly how you replicate it tonight, I have to tell you about something I built for this channel. A complete documented resource that goes deeper than any single video can. It contains the full patent acquisition timeline from Pogue through every subsequent vapor and vaporization technology that entered a corporate portfolio and disappeared. It contains the complete archived DOT fuel economy research from the early 90s with a plain language summary of every finding they never published publicly. And it contained essay, step-by-step regional guide to every technique I'm about to describe, calibrated for highway versus city driving, hot climate versus cold climate, and small displacement engines versus large. The link is in the description right now. Grab it before this video ends. Because the science I am about to walk you through, the actual thermodynamic and mechanical reality behind why these 50-cent adjustments work, is where this stops sounding like a story and starts sounding like the most obvious thing in the world. Stay right here. The science is where everything clicks. Now let us talk about what is actually happening inside your engine every time you press the accelerator, and why a 50-cent intervention changes the fundamental equation. Your engine runs on controlled explosions. The combustion cycle converts chemical energy stored in fuel into mechanical energy that moves your vehicle. The critical variable in that conversion is combustion completeness, the percentage of available chemical energy in the fuel that actually converts into usable mechanical work during each cycle. A standard fuel-injected engine operating under normal driving conditions achieves combustion completeness in the range of 70 to 82%. This is the number the automotive industry accepts as a design baseline. The remaining 18 to 30% of the energy you purchased at the pump exits your exhaust pipe as incompletely reacted, hydrocarbons and heat waste. This is not a secret. It is in every undergraduate thermodynamics textbook. It is in every automotive engineering curriculum. What is conspicuously absent from public-facing fuel economy education is the documented evidence that specific, low-cost interventions meaningfully shift that combustion completeness percentage upward, producing real-world fuel economy, improvements that compound across every tank you purchase for the remainder of your vehicle's operating life. The first mechanism is fuel surface area at the point of combustion. Fuel that enters the combustion chamber in finer, more thoroughly atomized form has greater surface area exposed to the combustion reaction per unit volume. Greater surface area means more complete reaction per cycle. A fuel system cleaner containing polyethyramine, available at any auto parts retailer for between $4 and $8, sufficient for 8 to 12 tanks of fuel, placing the per tank cost at approximately 50 cents, has been demonstrated in peer-reviewed testing, published in the journal Fuel to Improve Combustion Completeness Measurably by Clearing Injector Deposits that Degrade Atomization Quality over the Lifetime of the Engine. A study from the Southwest Research Institute testing the same class of additive across a fleet of vehicles with between 30,000 and 80,000 miles found. Average fuel economy improvements of 3 to 7% sustained across the full testing period. 3 to 7% on every tank you buy for the rest of your engine's life, on 50 cents of input per tank. The second mechanism is intake air temperature. Cooler, denser air entering the combustion chamber contains more oxygen molecules per unit volume. More oxygen per volume means more complete fuel combustion per cycle. Your engine's air intake system is designed to pull air from the engine compartment, one of the hottest environments your vehicle creates. A cold air intake modification routes air collection to a cooler location. For vehicles where this is a straightforward installation, the cost is between $30 and $80, and the fuel economy improvement is documented in dyno testing at between 2 and 5%. But you do not need to spend $30 tonight. Simply ensuring your existing air filter is clean and unobstructed is a zero-cost version of the same principle. A clogged air filter reduces intake air volume, enriches the fuel-air mixture beyond optimal stoichiometric ratio, and reduces combustion completeness directly. Replacing a clogged filter costs $11 and produces documented fuel economy improvements of up to 10% in vehicles with filters at the end of their service life. The third mechanism is tire contact patch optimization. An underinflated tire creates a wider, draggier contact patch with the road surface. Rolling resistance is a direct parasitic load on your drivetrain. Every unit of mechanical energy consumed overcoming rolling resistance is energy that does not move your vehicle forward. The fuel equivalent of that wasted energy is real, measurable, and documented. The EPA's own published data shows that a single pound per square inch of underinflation across all 4 tires reduces fuel economy by approximately 0.2%. The average American vehicle is driven on tires underinflated by 6 to 8 psi based on roadside survey data collected by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration. That is a documented, ongoing, entirely unnecessary fuel economy penalty of 1 to 2% that you are paying at the pump every single day. Correcting it costs nothing. A tire gauge costs $2 and lasts a decade. Now let us talk about why none of this is on the sticker inside your driver's door, in your owner's manual. In any fuel economy education program publicly funded at the federal level, or in any communication you have ever received from the manufacturer of your vehicle. The global automotive fuel system components market, the industry that manufactures and sells fuel injectors, fuel pumps, carburetors, and the complete architecture of fuel delivery systems in passenger vehicles, generates over $60 billion in annual revenue. The replacement and maintenance segment of that market depends structurally on injector degradation, combustion inefficiency, and the resulting accelerated wear cycles that a well-maintained, efficiently operating engine avoids. The domestic petroleum industry generates over $160 billion annually in U.S. retail fuel sales alone. Every percentage point of fleet-wide fuel economy improvement represents billions of dollars in reduced annual fuel purchases. A fleet-wide 3% improvement in real world fuel economy, achievable tomorrow if every driver made the adjustments I just described, removes approximately $5 billion per year from domestic retail fuel revenue. The industry that would lose that $5 billion spends over $400 million per year in lobbying. The return on that investment is a public information environment in which the most cost-effective, mechanically sound, independently validated fuel economy interventions available to any driver of any vehicle are completely and profitably unknown to the vast majority of the population paying for fuel every week without exception. The 2005 date in the title of this video is not an accident. Between 2003 and 2005, a coordinated campaign of forum moderation pressure, search engine deprioritization, documented by the early hypermiling community in real-time posts that a handful of archivists preserved, and a specific FTC guidance document on fuel economy product claims that was written broadly enough to create legal risk for any content creator, publishing non-manufacturer endorsed fuel economy improvement information effectively collapsed the mainstream online presence of the hypermiling and fuel efficiency optimization community. The people who had spent 15 years building the most comprehensive real-world fuel economy database ever assembled by non-industry researchers watched their forums get deleted, their documentation get erased, and their decade of collective knowledge get buried under an information environment deliberately structured to replace it with nothing. What they knew is what I'm about to give you right now. Here is the complete process. Tonight, 50 cents. Purchase one bottle of polyethyramine-based fuel system cleaner. The label will specify PEA as the active cleaning compound. Brands stocking this formulation include Chevron Techron, Redline SI1, and Royal Purple Max Clean. Pour the complete bottle into your fuel tank at your next fill-up. The per-tank cost at this dosage frequency is approximately 50 cents. Do this every 6 to 8 tanks, not every tank. Overdosing does not improve results and wastes product. Check your tire pressure tonight. Find your vehicle's specified pressure on the sticker inside your driver's door jamb or in your owner's manual. Do not use the maximum pressure number molded into the tire sidewall. That is the tire's structural maximum, not your vehicle's optimal operating pressure. Inflate all 4 tires to the door jamb. Specification: check monthly. This is a zero-cost permanent fuel economy improvement requiring 2 minutes once per month. Inspect your air filter. If it has more than 15,000 miles since its last replacement or visibly shows dirt accumulation, replace it. The standard. Replacement air filter costs between $8 and $15 at any auto parts retailer and takes 4 minutes to swap without tools in the majority of passenger vehicles. Do it once. The fuel economy return pays back the cost within 2 tanks in a vehicle with a significantly degraded filter. Combine these 3 interventions, and you are operating with a measurably cleaner fuel delivery system, optimal combustion air volume, and eliminated rolling resistance waste simultaneously. Independent testing of combined fuel system optimization across these 3 variables documented by the Automotive Research Group at the University of Tennessee in a 2019 fleet efficiency study showed average real-world improvements of 11 to 19% across the tested vehicle population. 11 to 19% more range on what you already own, on what you already paid for, on 50 cents per tank. The one limitation worth naming honestly is that severely degraded injectors beyond the cleaning threshold of additive treatment require professional service or replacement. If your vehicle has never received injector cleaning in over 80,000 miles, the first tank of cleaner may not fully restore optimal atomization. A second consecutive treatment tank typically completes the process. That is the complete trade-off. You are still here. Every second you stayed in this video is a second the $400 million lobbying apparatus failed to account. 4. You now know what 50 cents does to the fuel economy of the vehicle you already own. You know why that information was documented, published in government research, and then quietly, deliberately, and profitably buried. You know the names, the dates, and the dollar amounts behind the burial. Every person you share this video with is one more driver reclaiming efficiency they already paid for at every pump visit for years. Every subscriber is one more household that stops silently subsidizing a $160 billion retail fuel industry built on the assumption that you will never optimize what they cannot stop you from owning. They banned the forums. They deleted the archives. They erased 90 years of independent fuel efficiency research from the mainstream information environment and replaced it with manufacturer window stickers and unlimited subscription oil change programs designed to keep you dependent forever. 50 cents tonight. The range they told you was impossible is already in your tank.